Hey friend, it is Brandon Gustafson with Assisted Living Investing. Excited to have you here on the channel with me. In our video today, our live, we're going to be talking about some of the different types of care homes. So excited to share that with you as we get into this. This is a very different time than what we typically do. I had some personal stuff going on this morning and had to push it back. So appreciate your flexibility. If you are watching live, excited to have you. If you are live here, make sure that you are commenting and giving me the questions that you have, so I have some time to get to it here at the end of the video today. Let me pull up my screen share, add that. Alrighty, so as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about some of the different types of care homes that are available to you as you get into your assisted living journey, because as you may or may not know, there's a lot of different things out there. There's different levels of care. There's different types of facilities, and we're going to try to give you an overview of what that looks like today. Before we jump into it really deep, though, I want to remind you to get over to the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net/BP checklist, to get your business planning checklist. Links will be below. I've got a ticker going across as well, so you can get access to all of those things. For those of you who are new to the channel or joining me live here for the first time, just some background on me. I own and operate 2 assisted living facilities. Have done that since 2020. I've secured over $1.5 million in SBA funding and operate out of state. I also have a master's in healthcare administration, have over a decade of experience in the healthcare industry, and one of my homes is actually a mental health home. So it is something that is slightly different from what you would typically see. If you're here, you're watching live, and you're new, type in newbie. So I know if you're an operator and maybe just looking to expand, or maybe looking to shift your model, type in operator. And as you have questions as we go along, make sure you type those in so that I can get to that at the end of the video. If you're not watching live, still type those things in, type in your questions, and I'll get to them as quick as I can. Sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. I've been recording a lot of videos today, actually, content that will come out here in the next little bit. So I'm going to take a quick drink. All right. And hopefully I don't have to cough as I go through this. Let's talk about this. First off, is assisted living just for seniors? The answer to that is no. Assisted living is not just for seniors. It is there's such a broad range of what you can do in this industry and who you can serve, and it's really cool because it allows you to identify the population that you want to serve, who you're passionate about, who you want to help, and you can build a home around that, and really do something to serve that group of people. And Dennis, I see you commenting, newbie from California. Welcome. If you have questions as we go through this, make sure you reach out, and we can get into that. There really are a lot of different populations you can serve. And something that I like to teach people is, at its core, one of the first things you have to do is create a business plan. And part of that business plan is creating a vision for yourself on where you want to go, who you want to serve, and why you want to do that. This is going to allow you to be really successful. So that's why we have the business plan checklist. You can get access to the business planning guide as well over on the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net/BPG. Again, links down below can really help get you moving things along in doing this, and it's really important for you to figure this out up front, because it allows you to build the home that you want to do. The other thing is, I get started in this, there's going to be pictures. I'm trying to do my best to like depict things, but we're going to be talking about some populations that are could be sensitive to certain people, and I want to be sensitive to that, and just let you know that I'm coming from this as a place that, like, really excited to talk about this group of people and how you can serve them. And so hopefully it doesn't set somebody off. Just wanted to kind of set that up, because the regardless of who you're serving in in this world, it can be sensitive. It can be hard to talk about them, and so I'm trying to do this kind of in a light manner. But just know that it's something I'm very serious about, and understand the amount of care that we get to put in towards helping people. So to start off, let's talk about mental health. So I'm going to use the example of my facilities. I have 2 facilities. One of them is an elderly care, kind of what you typically think of as you are starting your assisted living business. But the other is a mental health home. And I deal with a population that has a diagnosis, a mental health diagnosis of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, is probably 80%, 90% of our population. So it's the people that we serve. And it's something that as I got started, I honestly didn't think of. Like when we purchased the facility, when we found it and we started moving forward with purchasing it, I was like, this is interesting. Like this is kind of cool. I've never thought about this. And it's really opened my eyes up, but it is so much fun to work with these people and to understand them. And typically what you're going to see when you're working in a home that does mental health is you're dealing with people who need some assistance with medication management. Oftentimes they're able to physically, get up and move around and shower and bathe themselves and get dressed and things like that. They're going to need prompts though occasionally, and there's going to be a little bit more management of their personalities and just helping them calm down, taking their medications, communicating through things, and figuring out what is going on with them. And in the moment, not just in general, but in the moment, and how to help them adjust for what's going on in their head and the environment that's around them. And it takes some adjustment, takes some getting used to, and that's something that you want to kind of be aware of. So that is mental health. And I see there's a few questions in here. So I've got a few. I just want to make sure there's nothing relevant to this. I will get to all the questions by the end. So keep putting them in there, and we will get over to those questions. Let's move over to the next one, veterans. So veterans is another one. You can become like a VA approved home, which allows you to serve veterans. Oftentimes, you're going to be dealing with a population here of injured veterans or veterans that deal with mental health, which is very similar to what we were just talking about, just specific to veterans. And you want to kind of be aware that this population exists. You also don't have to necessarily be a veterans only home. You can get kind of a VA approved and do a lot of this in conjunction with the other populations that you're serving. It just gives you, when you're VA approved, my understanding. Again, I'm not VA approved, so I'm going off of what I know. If somebody knows this, comment that down below. But you are able to accept veterans that have veterans benefits, and you can get kind of reimbursed or paid through them, similar to what you would do with Medicaid. Excuse me, just slightly different. And that's kind of how veterans homes are going to work. The next one is going to be developmental disabilities. So this could be Down syndrome or autism or like severe ADHD, those types of things where you have a developmental disability. And I'll use another example in a home that we lived in 2 homes ago. So this was, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. We had somebody move in next to us, and it was just like it was kind of a weird way that they moved in, and we saw cars in the driveway. We never saw anybody in the home or anything like that. A few months later, we saw some of the people that live there in the backyard, and we're like, oh, that's really interesting. And it looked like cars were shifting out every few hours. And what we came to find out was it was a care home that dealt with people with developmental disabilities. I didn't know that. This is before I like started getting into the business. I wish I had known, so I could have talked to them at the time. But it was really cool to see this. They had 4, 5, 6 residents that lived in there, that dealt with developmental disabilities. One of the people I'm coaching right now is working towards this as well for a home for autism, and you can really focus in and hone in on this population and really benefit them, especially as they get older and their parents are having a hard time dealing with some of the issues that they have, and they still want their autonomy, but parents are aging and it's really difficult for them. Creating these types of homes can really benefit both the families and the residents themselves, and put everybody in a much better spot. Typically, I would say in these scenarios, you're going to be dealing with a Medicaid population, so you might want to get certified as a Medicaid provider here, but you can really get in and help out this group of people as well. And if you've ever worked with people that suffer from these developmental disabilities, you know how amazing it is to work with them and how much fun it can be to build relationships with this group of people. So another one that you can be aware of. The next one is sober living. So sober living is slightly different. It is a different license type. It's a different kind of track that you want to go down. We actually looked at turning one of our homes into a sober living facility at one point, and it's slightly different. Each state's going to be different. It's less regulated, which is nice. But you're dealing with people that often have suffered from substance abuse or addiction or alcoholism, and they are recovering. It's not necessarily a halfway house, but they are coming in because they need an environment that's going to allow them to maintain that level of peace that they have, and put them in a spot that's going to help them succeed. And it can be really beneficial. The payment from these are also subsidized by governments oftentimes. You're not a Medicaid provider, but you do get government subsidized payments from people. You're working with a lot of the same types of people. At least me, from a mental health standpoint, I'm working with a lot of the same people if I want to go that route, and care managers, case managers, and all of those types of things. This is another really rewarding opportunity to help people that are trying to recover and get into a better spot in their life. So that's another one. These were kind of four just high level ones that you could go into. There's so many more though. There are a ton of different types of populations you can work with, a ton of different people that you can get in and help and benefit and just kind of make an impact in their lives. The other thing is, as you're doing this, different staffing models and things that you want to be aware of. I didn't dive deep into those, so if that's a question of how to do it, how to staff one of those specific types of homes, comment that down below because I can try to do some research for you. Um, Want to really quickly remind everybody to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you're on YouTube as well, so you get notified when we go live. And we'll jump here into some of the Q&A. I've got a few questions, and if there's more people, I know we've got a few people here live. If you have more questions, then reach out. So Dennis was asking, can this business be run semi-absentee? And yes, absolutely you can. So I live in Utah. And my facilities, one is in Colorado and one is in Idaho. So I'm able to be here remotely and have a full-time job as well. I work for an insurance company and do contract configuration, still working in the healthcare industry, do my coaching, and then run the business. And the way that I do that, like today, a little bit earlier, I had a call from my facility administrator, and we have a quality assurance audit at our Idaho facility right now. So we're just coordinating on how we're going to get that documentation, what we need to do to get it, to submit it, who's going to do what, how we're going to pull that together. I have a virtual assistant that also helps me out with some of that work. And so we're able to kind of pull this together and operate things. The administrator is the person that is doing all of the day-to-day and hands-on with the residents and the staff, and making sure beds are filled and shifts are filled as well, and things are moving along. They're dealing with the residents and their families as things change over time. So that's kind of how you can run this semi-absentee, and still be involved in the business, and still go out and, like we were talking about here in this video today, going out and talking to your residents and building relationships with them and getting to get a feel for who they are, and just understanding exactly what they are. So hopefully that helps answer your question there. The other question that you had here is, what is level 4? So I'm guessing that is a level of care in California, because I believe, Dennis, that's where you said you're from. Level 4 facility in California. Let me do a quick Google search for that. Assisted living center in California. Typically, and I don't know exactly what level 4 is. I'd have to do a little bit more research. I'm not having something pop up. So if you're able to maybe give me a little more context on here, that would be helpful. But actually, maybe I found something. This is service level 4, care supervision and professionally supervised training for persons with deficits in self-help skills and or severe something. It just kind of went off on me there. Actually, here, let me pull this up. Let's see if this is gonna come up here on the screen. And let's let me make sure. Okay, cool. So yeah, so on here, this is DDS. This is California Department of Developmental Services. Not 100% sure, but this is community care facilities. I think this is probably close to what you're talking about. Level one is, so basically how levels work is the amount of levels that are based off of the type of care that you need to provide to people, and what they need. And so in Utah, for example, a level one facility is, the facility types are actually based off of um, a fire. So if a resident can get out of the home in an emergency in a fire, that is level one care. And if they need assistance, that's level two care. So that's how they delineate this in Utah. This, what we're looking at here, I would think is something pretty similar, and maybe gives you some guidance here. I'll put I don't know if I can put this in the comments here, but I will put this in the chat. I don't know if this is going to come through for you or not. I've never done this. We'll see. I put that URL in there so you can look at it. Service level one is limited care and supervisions for persons with self-care skills and no behavior problems. So it's basically, you're doing some prompts. They can do pretty much everything by themselves. You might be helping manage some medications and things like that. Level two is care supervision and incidental training for persons with some self-care skills and no behavior problems. So there's no behavioral issues there, but you do have to provide some care, some supervision. My thought here is that limited care is probably something that is more like an independent living. Um, Level two is something that would probably fall under assisted living, because you're providing care and supervision, and actually doing something for the resident. Level three says care, supervision, and ongoing training for persons with significant deficits in self-help skills and or some limitations in physical coordination and mobility. So this is somebody, they need more care. They need a little bit extra on there to kind of help give them the level of care that they need so that they can survive and function the way that they need to. And then a level four here says care, supervision, and professionally supervised training for persons with deficits in self-help skills and or severe impairments in physical coordination and mobility and or severely disruptive or self-injurious behavior. Service level four is subdivided into levels 4A through 4I, in which staffing levels are increased to correspond to escalating severity of disability levels. So this would be, somebody that needs a lot of help. And this could be emotional help, or it could be somebody that is paralyzed or something like that. It's just kind of the level of care that you need to provide to people. And hopefully this kind of helps give you an answer for those different levels of care. It really is based off of how much, it kind of is how many staff you need to provide the care that is going to help out your residents and give them the care that they need. So something for you to just kind of chew on a little bit there. What I would say is your assisted living is probably like a service level two and service level three. Um, is like, just reading through this is kind of what I would say is going to, where that's going to land. Your service level one is going to be much more of a care home. Sober living, for example, might fall into that level one type of a facility because you're not doing a lot. You're just kind of providing them a space to live, some meals, and providing them with a little bit, but it's pretty limited care and supervision for those people. Kind of gives you an idea. Hopefully that helps out. Um, Manila, I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know. But your question, can you tell me some I think guidance between assisted living and sober living? So really at its core, they are different types of licenses. So I'm going to pull this thing down and so I can get off of this and just leave us on the Q&A thing. You can look at me pointing my fingers up. I don't know if that's better or not. Actually, I'm going to shift over to here so that you just have the thank you with the link on there to get the business plan checklist. Okay, let's get into your question. So can you tell me assisted living and sober living? So they are different types of facilities. Assisted living is typically going to be it's going to have oversight with like the health department, and through that you're going to be you have to get licensed. You have to go through a process. You are a healthcare facility, even though you don't provide actual like care to people. You're providing much more of a service than actual care. There's a fine line there between like assisted living and nursing homes, and I've done a video on that actually in the past. And I could probably do a separate video on this assisted living versus sober living. But anyways, at its core, there's a licensing difference, and then the population you serve is also slightly different. So yeah, which one's making more income if you have a medical background? Having a medical background really isn't going to matter in either of these types of homes. It is it, you're and the amount of residents that you have and your staffing model and things like that, the type of home that you are building is going to kind of help dictate the amount of income that's coming in for you. Um, at its core, your staffing model is a lot less with sober living. So you have far less expenses with sober living, a lot less, in fact, but you are charging a lot less. So sober living, your resident is probably paying you somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a month, somewhere in that ballpark. It kind of depends. I've seen and heard a lot of people say 700 to 800 is really pretty typical. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I'm going to hang up on them. Just want to make sure I swipe the right way. So 700 to 800 is really pretty typical for sober living. When you get over to assisted living, you're looking at income. Like I was just watching a video earlier this week. I think it was yesterday. The average income, the average amount that people pay for assisted living is 4,500 a month. Like it's 4 or 5 times the amount that you pay for sober living. But you have a lot more stuff that goes into having an assisted living facility. You're going to have more insurance. Yeah, you're going to have a much higher staffing model. You're going to be providing more food for people typically as well. And just kind of going through those things, the path to profitability, it exists for both of them. You could do either of them. There's a lot more regulation in assisted living, but if you are familiar, you've got a healthcare background, you've worked in the industry, and you are passionate about serving that population, there's a big path to profitability. You can really have a lot of success. If you're new to this and you're just like, I don't know exactly what I want to do, and sober living sounds interesting to me, then you can kind of start going that path and start doing some research over there. I focus a lot of my teaching and coaching on assisted living because it's what I do. But happy to answer people's questions around sober living and give some guidance on that. So hopefully that answers that question. Your other one was how much insurance. I mean, the insurance is going to the insurance type of insurance is pretty similar at its core. You're going to need to get liability insurance, property insurance, and workers' comp insurance for your staff. Your workers' comp in sober living is significantly less because you just have a lot less staff. Your property insurance is probably going to be pretty close to the same, but liability insurance actually is going to be quite a bit more when you're over with assisted living because um, your residents are at risk for some of the bigger things that could be bigger hospital bills, like a fall or something like that. And so you're going to likely need to have a higher amount of liability coverage, and the state is often going to require you when you get your license because they want to be covered as an insured as well. They're going to have certain requirements that you have to meet for that, and that's going to be based off of the state that you're operating in. But typically, sober living, there's not that governing board there, and so it's up to you how much coverage do you want to cover yourself. Whereas when you get into assisted living, you're having some requirements given to you by the state on what you need to have to make sure you're covering that. Um, as far as like what type of how much it costs or anything, I'm not 100% sure. The best way to do that is actually to get like with a commercial insurance broker and have them help you get the insurance. That's what we do, and working with an insurance broker is like a no-brainer. There's no reason you shouldn't do that. They get paid out of the premiums that you pay. They're your advocate. They help you find the best insurance. I would highly suggest getting with a commercial insurance broker though to do that because they're going to have access to insurance that just like the normal Geico State Farm person is not going to have access to. But if you just did an internet search for something like commercial insurance brokers near me or something like that, then you're going to be able to find those people. If you're far down the path of doing it, then reach out to me on the website. I think go to my contact page. I think it's assistedlivinginvesting.net/contact, and fill out a thing and say, hey, we were chatting on the YouTube live. and have this question about the insurance stuff, I'm really close to getting things done. I can make an introduction to you for you to my insurance broker, and he can help you out and get there. If you're just kind of early stages trying to figure this out, it's probably not worth having a conversation because he's going to need like real set things to give you real quotes. So only do that if you're pretty close to it. Otherwise, like from a pricing standpoint, I'm going to ballpark this. I would say, do I want to ballpark it, or am I going to be off? I'm trying to think what our numbers are. I can't remember the workers' comp because we're just on auto pay and I don't see that one very often. The other ones I want to say combined with my two facilities, both the property and the liability is like 4 to 5 thousand a month. We work on getting those things combined because it gives us some cost savings. So it gives you an idea of what your insurance might look like. If you get my business planning guide, I actually give you the numbers for what it costs us to operate in one of our fiscal years, and I have the exact numbers for the insurance on those, so that can help you out as well. That's assistedlivinginvesting.net/BPG, and you can get that. That's part of that package, one of the bonuses there. Um, Profit versus nonprofit. Yeah, so if you have the house already and you're kind of moving forward, then reach out to me and I can help make the connection for you. Um, that's not a problem. Profit versus nonprofit for sober living. The thing with nonprofit is it seems like an incredible idea to move forward with as a nonprofit organization. The What you have to be aware of though is there's a lot that goes into being a nonprofit. You have to have a board. You don't have all of the control. There's a lot more paperwork involved with it. If you have been in the nonprofit industry, you understand what all of that, well, everything that is entailed in being a nonprofit business, then go for it. It's a great opportunity. It opens up doors for grants, gives you a lot of really cool opportunities and things like that. If you are new to it and so you just like the idea of being a nonprofit because you might be able to get some grants and things like that, just know there's a lot that goes into it. I've worked for nonprofit organizations for most of my professional career, and I am a for-profit organization because I know the headaches that go into being a nonprofit. It's hard if you want to set it up correctly. It can be expensive. Um, you can be very profitable. You can run a really good business as a nonprofit, but there's just a lot of complexities that go into that. Like I teach people about Medicaid and why it's good and things like that. You have to understand there's a lot of complexities that go into it. Nonprofit versus for-profit is 10x the complexities there, and so it's a lot easier to become a for-profit entity, get things set up and get things moving. I don't think you're getting anything extra from an amount of money coming to you by being a nonprofit, other than if you can find and create some partnerships and get some grant funding and things like that to help you out. That's really the difference. But if you do it correctly, the amount of time to become a nonprofit and set it up correctly, it can be very time consuming. So you just gotta want to be aware of what that looks like. So um, yeah, so thanks both of you for all the questions there. Appreciate the interactions. I mean, it seems like I'm getting quite a few more people here on the live today, doing this in the afternoon. So I might try to shift a little bit of my lives to be a little bit later in the day. Seems like there's some more interactions and things like that. So if there are any last minute questions, please type those in. I'm gonna sign off here in just a second, but want to thank you all for watching. Make sure you get over to the website, assistedlivinginvesting.net. Get the business plan checklist. You can go ahead and grab that. On the YouTube link, I will have all the links for all my free stuff on there, so you can download those as well. So if you're watching on Facebook, get over to the YouTube link, and you can get access to all the free things. And then just a reminder, the business planning guide, assistedlivinginvesting.net/BPG, will get you a really good head start there. And then if you are interested in setting up a strategy call with me, go to assistedlivinginvesting.net/strategy. I do a free strategy call, kind of explain, get a feel for where you're at in the process and what you need help with. And then I have a program that if it's a good fit, I'll tell you about it. And if not, then I'll point you in the right direction and give you some advice that will help you out. It's it's an opportunity for me to get to know you and see if I can help you and kind of share what I have that is helpful in pushing things along. And I'm going to be launching something new here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So make sure you're subscribed to emails and things like that, and getting those on the Facebook group, because I've got something that I'm really excited to share with you all, that I think is going to help a lot of you really start making some really good progress towards launching that assisted living business. So stay tuned for that. Another question here: who is paying for sober living then? Medicaid? It is not Medicaid, so you're not a Medicaid provider. Who pays for sober living is it, so I don't do sober living. So my understanding, having had a bunch of conversations with people about it, is it's kind of done through a government subsidized thing, but it's not Medicaid, and it's oftentimes you're kind of contracting with case management companies. I might be off on this, but you like kind of are working with these case management companies who they receive funding, because oftentimes they are nonprofits and they will get funding to work with those that need to be in a sober living home, and then you're setting your rates. Like there's not a set thing that you do there. You kind of set your rates, and then you say, yep, we're charging $750 a month for this person, and then you're working with that kind of case management company, that nonprofit that's helping out with these people that do that need to be in sober living, and setting the rates and kind of getting paid directly from them. It's kind of, that's the best way I can describe it. And that's how I have understood it with the research that I've done. I've had conversations with people that do this as their investment strategy, and that's like, we didn't get really deep into exactly how it worked, but that's my understanding loosely of how the reimbursement happens there when you're working with sober living. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Well, again, thank you all for being here today. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to pull this screen down, and yeah, just thanks again. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday. Stay tuned. I'll send out reminders and things for when we go live, and so make sure you are kind of staying up on those. And we will chat with you next week. Have another video coming out on Thursday, so make sure you watch that, and hopefully it helps you along your path. I'll say my thing. Does residential assisted living sound interesting to you, but you don't know how to get started? At assistedlivinginvesting.net, I'm here to help you launch your assisted living business and create the time and financial freedom that you need to that you desire. So that's what I'm here for. Yeah, and that's it. And you're welcome. Thanks for interacting with me. I appreciate the questions and things. I love giving back and helping people out. So thank you all, and we will talk to you next week. Have a great day.